Hey everyone, welcome back to another class here at Shiage Do Martial Arts. If you're at this point already, make sure that you've done your warm-ups. If you haven't done your warm-ups, make sure you're going back and getting those done. Your warm-ups are the most important part, okay? I'm not including them in the videos by themselves because it takes a lot of time to do these videos as it is and do all the editing. And honestly, you guys know what the warm-ups are at this point, so just make sure you're getting them done, okay? Today we're going to work on a couple katas. We're going to do Seiunchin, we're going to do Naihanchi, and we're going to do Wansu. We're going to do all three of those. So if you don't know one of them, that's okay. If you don't know any of them, that's okay too. You're going to just do your best to follow along, okay? And if you know it, practice it a couple times. If you don't know it, just walk through it with me once. Try to learn a couple of the techniques, see what they're about, and we'll go from there. And then lastly, we're gonna end the day with some heavy bag drills and talk about some notebook organization. All right. So to get started, we're gonna do Seiunchin kata all together. Yasumi, Kyotsuke, Rei, Seiunchin, Hajime. So look, step out, horse stance. Block up 2 hands to the front, back down. Reach out and grab, pull and stab. Look, second one, step in, block up, look to the front, block down. Reach out and grab, pull and stab. One more, look, step in horse, block up to the front, block down. Reach out and grab, pull and stab. Draw back cat stance. Hammer fist. Shuffle quick, punch, shuffle, elbow uppercut. Looking to the front right corner, reinforce side block, step in down block, step back down block. To the front left corner, reinforce side block, step in down block, step back down block. Step in straight back. Piece move 1, step straight back. Piece move 2. Nice horse stance. Make sure your knees are over your feet when you're doing this. Step into a Seisan stance. Hammer fist. When I'm in my Seisan stance, make sure that your feet are as wide as your shoulders. This. Uppercut. Look over your left shoulder, all the way around to the back corner. We're going to stomp. Uppercut. Nose block. Down block. Step back and away. Down block. I'm going to look to the front left corner. Double block. Shuffle this way so I don't kick my couch. Stomp. Bus. Uppercut. Nose block. Down. Step back. Down. We're going to go straight back. Break the bear hug. Cat stance. Break the bear hug. Punch down. Push. Keep your posture. Catch. Circle step. Head block. Nose block. Draw back and around. Break. 1, 2, 3. Done. Okay? If you know Seiunchin, pause the video here. Do kata at least 2 more times, okay? If you don't know Seiunchin, you might want to walk through it again with me. I try to go slow through them, or just jump ahead and we'll do Naihanchi next. Naihanchi is the shortest kata that we learned, but it's still very important. And the whole purpose of a kata is originally, when kata were developed, they were designed to give an entire fighting style, an entire fighting method in one kata. One of our masters, Master Chokimotobu, spent 20 years working on just Naihanchi. Now, to be fair to him, there's a couple versions of Naihanchi, and he was probably doing all of them. But he spent 20 years doing just Naihanchi, trying to pull every little secret and every little bit of information that he possibly could out of this kata. And honestly, I think that was time well spent. That's why we call him a master. Okay? So, we're going to do Naihanchi. Staying together. Yasumi. Kyotsuke. Rei. Naihanchi. Hajime. Squat down. We're going to look to the left. Step across. Step out. If you've never done this kata before, my feet are going to kind of point towards each other. Bend my knees a little bit and push my hips forward. Alright, it's called a Naihanchi stance. Reach out. Elbow chamber. Look. Avoid the sweep. Down block stab, step across, kick. Block your face, block your groin. Elbow uppercut, nose block. Look, avoid the sweep, side block. Look, avoid the sweep, hammer fist. Look, avoid the sweep, chamber, double punch. Reach out, elbow chamber. Look, avoid the sweep, down block stab, step across and kick. Block your face, block your groin. Elbow uppercut, nose bend. Look to the left, avoid the sweep, side block. To the right, avoid the sweep, hammer fist. This is all the way up solar plexus height. Look, avoid the sweep, chamber. I want to get my elbows behind, double punch. Us. 1, 2, 3. Same thing. If you know this kata, pause the video here, do the kata a few times. All right. If you got to do it with me, that's fine. If you got to do it on your own, or if you can do it on your own, do it on your own because that helps you quite a bit. All right. So you want to kind of have a little bit of a mix so that you're working on the retention for you to make sure that you remember that you can do the kata, and some of it with me so that if you're forgetting little parts or the little comments and bits that I'm giving you, that you can start working on those too. One of the biggest ones that I see when people are practicing is when you're doing this double punch here, it's 2 punches. It's not a back fist. If I do this hammer fist here and then I do this double punch, my hand is just turning into a back fist. All right, that's my punch isn't a punch, it's a back fist. So what I need to do after this hammer fist is get my hands on my hips so that I can get my elbow, right? So I can get my elbow behind my punch. That makes it a punch, is when my elbow can go straight. It's not a punch if it's leading with my elbow instead of leading with my hand. So when you're doing Naihanchi, make sure you get that elbow behind. Also, make sure you stay in that Naihanchi stance. One of the things that I tell people when they're practicing this is when you avoid the sweep, touch your toes, then your heel. That'll help get your hips twisted out so you can kind of kick your hips out so you can get that even further. The last kata we're going to do today is Wansu. Wansu is your advanced orange belt kata. I'm going to take this one a little extra slow because we had one person who the last day before all of this happened and the dojo closed, he earned his advanced orange belt. And he's literally been sitting with an orange belt around his waist for the last 2 weeks because his advanced orange belt is at the Shiage Do Physical School, and I can't get to it, and we can't get to it, and I can't even get it to him. So, Nick, this one's for you. All right? Nice and slow. Yasumi, Kyotsuke, ready? Wansu, Hajime. So Wansu is known for the hidden fist. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to step out and roll my hands over. So here the first opponent's off to my left. So I'm going to look to the left. I'm going to do a down block and a punch across my body. This is why it's called the hidden fist. If you're standing off to my left side here, you don't even know I have a fist. It's just going to be 1, 2. I'm going to look to the front. Chamber on my left side. I'm going to use the same hands I just used to down block, punch, now this time to the front. Circle step, open hand side block, push and stab, grab, chamber, step behind, pull and punch. I'm going to look to the back. Now when I turn to the back, I'm doing the same thing. Down block punch, circle step, open hand side block with my right hand, push and stab across my face, grab their belt, step behind crane, pull and punch. Now I'm going to look back to the front, shift my feet, and then circle step. There's still a circle step here, even though I'm shifting and turning my feet. Open hand head block, kick. Front kick, double block. Okay, so what's happening is I do this block, somebody's punching my face. I do my uppercut. I'm literally stopping my uppercut with my own hand to get that little extra bit of believability in there to get them to put their hands up so I can do a front kick. So it's block, fake, front kick. Double block. Chamber at my subadachi, so my hands and feet are together. I'm in a tension stance. I'm going to step out horse. I'm grabbing their groin and their throat, or their belt and their throat. Rolling over for the throw. I'm going to look to the front. I'm going to look to the left. So I turn and turn. Open hand side block, grab, knee smash, punch. Look to the front. There's nobody. I keep looking. there's somebody, open hand block, grab, knee smash, punch. When I do this block, it kind of turns into a rainbow. If you think about it, it blocks across and then catches at the end. It's almost like a rainbow. Knee smash, punch. To the front. There's somebody here in front of me, so I'm going to step up, Musubi dodge, give him a target. He takes the bait, throws the punch, so I step off to the side. I'm going to punch straight from where I was and then punch to that same spot. So if I'm here and this is a person in front of me, I throw my punch. When I step off to the side, it's still in that same spot. I'm throwing my second punch. I come up, give him another bait. This guy takes the bait. He goes to punch me. I step off to the side, punch, punch. From here, I'm going to step into a haiku and do a side kick. Look to the other side, set on the other side, side kick. Set, circle step, and this is a blocking kamae. All right, blocking kamae. Kamae means guard. All right, so could be like somebody's throwing a punch, so I'm kind of doing my open hand side block, but it's here, it's in front of me. I'm going to step in, elbow low. I'm going to Seisan stance. Don't get sucked into this and step too far and go into a Zenkutsu. This needs to be a Seisan stance. Elbow low to the floating rib. Here. Look. Draw back into a cat stance, facing the back. Front kick. Look to the front. Draw back cat stance. Front kick. Set Seisan stance. 2 shudos. Us. Block. Now this block is the whole reason we do this kata. Okay? You just fought this guy, you broke his ribs, drew back. He went to kick you, you jammed his kick, threw your front kick. He's just about done, right? You took out his buddies. As kind of like this last ditch, whatever, he's throwing this punch. You can see that he doesn't have any fight in him left. Now, what you've got chambered and ready to go is your nukite. Traditionally, nukite, if you train your hands enough, is a killing technique. Obviously, you have to do a lot of training to make sure that you can stab somebody with your fingers, right? You should be able to do push-ups on your fingertips without them bending. I can't even do that. It takes a lot of training, right? But traditionally, the nukite is thought of as a killing technique, okay? So the whole point of this kata is right here at the end. You have the ability to launch that strike, right? You have the justification to throw that strike. But you show mercy at the end because you can tell that he doesn't have any fight left in him. There's no point in taking his life, right? So you show mercy. You finish the kata. All right? That is probably my favorite move of any kata just because of that story behind it, right? To me, it's the meaning of karate. If you have control over the fight that you are involved in, then you have the ability to slow down and think about that kind of stuff. Does this guy still have the fight left in him to hurt me? If the answer is no, then I no longer have a job, right, to beat him up. I don't have to keep going. I don't have to take it personal like that and let my anger, my rage, whatever, my feelings dictate that I keep hitting him. If I have control and I'm relaxed, I can see that he's done with the fight. And although I'm ready, right, if I'm wrong, I'm ready, right? But I can also show mercy and end the kata. So that's very important to how I teach. It's very important to how I understand karate. So think about that when you're doing this kata. You have the ability to, like any of you guys, all of the people that I've taught karate to, you have the ability to really lay the hurt on somebody. But I also teach you that you only do as much karate as you need to get away. If you don't need to continue the fight, don't. There's no good reason to it. If they're not hurting you anymore, right? Or they're not hurting anybody else anymore, there's no reason to keep going on after them, all right? And that's part of why Wansu is such an important kata. So, same thing with the other ones. If you know Wansu, practice it a couple times now. Pause the video, do Wansu a couple times. If you've never done Wansu before, do it once with the video, do it once with me. Maybe go back, do it again, just to walk through it. But, don't worry about remembering it. Nick, you're going to this for your first strike. This double block right at the beginning, okay? So when you're practicing, make sure you're practicing there. Don't forget to send me videos. All right, so the next thing I want to work on are some heavy bag drills. So let me get my heavy bag out and we'll work on that right now. So the next thing we're going to work on is some heavy bag drills. I got a couple of easy ones for you. If you got a heavy bag at home, perfect. If you don't have a heavy bag at home, you could do this a couple ways. You could either get somebody who can partner up with you, whether it's a parent or sibling or whoever, hold on to like a couch cushion or a kick shield or pillows or however you want to work it. The other option is if you have mats or pads at home, even if they're just like a yoga mat, you can take a yoga mat and stick it on like a broom handle or something and get that to stand up so that you've got something that you can hit. But if you're working with a partner, make sure that, especially if they're a younger sibling, that you're not blasting them across the room. All right, you want to make sure that you keep your training partner around to help you out. But I got a kick bag, a heavy bag, so that's what I'm going to use today. The first one we're going to work on is going to be a front kick roundhouse kick without setting your foot. So what this one is going to look like is just a front kick and a roundhouse kick. Okay. Now this one is really useful in sparring because you throw your two kicks real fast without setting down. It tends to confuse people, and because they're such different targets, sometimes it's hard to block the front kick and then get the arm back up and moving for the roundhouse kick. So when I'm doing this, it's going to be front kick, roundhouse kick. The important part of this is my front kick goes straight, so my knee is straight. In order to do the roundhouse kick, I got to kick my heel forward. All right, watch my heel right here. So I kick my heel forward. What that does is it turns my hips over so I can do this roundhouse kick. Okay, so if you watch my hips, here, now I can do my roundhouse kick. So when I'm kicking the bag, I'm going to do my front kick, roundhouse kick. Okay, now again, I'm trying not to hit the bag too hard here for this reason. If I hit it too hard, it sounds like rolling thunder. If you don't believe me, that's what I'm talking about. So, and that's just because my mic's on the ground. Unfortunately, I don't have a better place to put it, so just bear with me. Remember, the stuff when you guys are kicking, you're going to kick as hard as you can. If you've got a heavy bag, or if you're with your partner, as hard as your partner can handle. All right, so to do this, it's just going to be front kick, roundhouse kick, and you're going to set your foot down after it. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay. So when you're doing this, what I want you to do is you're going to do the combination slow for form 5 times. Then, if you're a kid, you're going to do it for full power 10 times. If you're an adult, you're going to do it 30 times. And you're going to do that with each leg. So nice and slow, 5 times, and then full speed, either 10 or 30. All right. Again, like I said the other day, if you are younger but you want to do more, then by all means do it. I'm not limiting you. I'm just providing reasonable expectations. If you try to do more and you can't, don't feel bad about it. All right. That's why I'm splitting it in half. If you're an adult and you find this easy and you want to do even more, do that too. It's good for you. So you're going to practice both legs, 5 and then 10, or 5 and then 30 if you're an adult. All right. So pause the video. Come on back when you're done with that. The next one we're going to do is a low-high roundhouse kick. Again, this one's really useful for sparring because it's changing the level of your kicks up significantly, so that changes up how they have to block it. I can do this depending on if we're doing contact or point sparring. I can go leg kick ribs, I can go ribs head, I can go leg kick head, or honestly, we're doing it high-low, or I'm sorry, low-high, but you can also do it high-low. So you can start at the head and come down. Your second kick, it typically is the less powerful one, unless you really, really practice. You can practice so your second kick is the harder kick, but that takes a lot of doing. And if you're looking for something special on that, send me a text or email. I'll give you some tips on that. But for the most part, just do your best with this, okay? So what it's going to be is you're going to pick your leg up. It's going to be a low roundhouse kick. Now when you're doing this, if you're doing this in the air or if you're doing this on a heavy bag, unless you're doing contact or you're planning on doing contact, try to aim for regular sparring targets, okay? So ribs and head, or hip and shoulder even, whatever you got to do to work yourself up a little bit higher. If you do full contact fight, or if you have in the past, you're interested in doing that, then you can practice leg and ribs, okay? Or leg and head. But the concept is the same for both. You're gonna pick your knee up, turn your hips over, kick low, kick high, okay? So the important part of this one is the rechamber after the front kick, or the first kick. So if I'm doing this, it's gonna be low, high. I'm gonna use my hips angling to help get a little bit of the height, but a lot of it comes from hip flexibility. This is why we do splits every day. The stretching on our list hasn't changed, and that's because even when we were doing it every day, it's always the same. I want you guys to practice getting your hips flexible, getting your knees flexible, getting your shoulders and your arms flexible, because these are the things that are most important when you're doing karate. So your splits are super important for these, okay? So what you're gonna do is knee up, low, high, okay? Try to keep your hands up in a guard. Even if your guard comes out here a little bit, that's okay, because remember, my ribs are the thing that I'm trying to protect. So if I got to bring it down here, that's fine. All right. My other hand, if you'll notice, stays up here by my chin. So that way, if I got to block across my face, it doesn't have to go very far. So if they're doing a kick to my head at the same time, I can keep my hand up here to keep blocking. I keep my hand here so that I know where it is, right? That positive contact of it touching my chin, right? This one might come down a little bit, right, as a counterbalance. But what I don't want to do is this. Kick, kick, right? So don't let your hands swing. Keep them out in front of you. Just like the front roundhouse kick, you're going to do 5 of these for form with each leg, and then either 10 full power or 30 full power. If you are a black belt and you want to do 50, do it. If you want to do 100, do it. Especially for like Sensei Jesse, Sensei Nat, you guys who do a lot of kicks when you're sparring, do a lot of these. Do extra. Make sure your legs are good and sore from doing these kicks, because the faster you can get them and the less you have to think about doing them, the more effective they are when you go to spar. Okay? So make sure that you're practicing extra and practicing to the full extent of your body's capabilities. So pause the video now, get those kicks done. I'll have one last one for you when you're back. Okay, so the last one is going to be the only kick that we're doing today that is one with each leg, okay? So this one is going to be a front kick with my one leg, and then I'm going to set and do a roundhouse kick with my other one. Now, if you've never done these before, take them nice and slow. Do a front kick, do a roundhouse kick, okay? Take them slow, do them slow, that's fine. If you've done these before and you've got the, I'll use the word gumption. If you want to try real hard, okay, you can do it with the pop that I'm going to show you, okay? So if you're doing this, it's going to be front kick, roundhouse kick, okay? So it's going to be kind of a hop in the middle. Front, round, okay? I'm going to hit the bag, again, watch your ears if you're listening to this on headphones. Okay, so it's going to be quick. 1, 2. Even set off my thing again. I love that thing. All right, so if you're doing the jump, do the jump. If you're not doing the jump, it's just kick, set, roundhouse kick. If you are doing the jump, my rechamber is going to be my hop point, okay? Try to use your hands as little as possible when you're doing that, because you don't want these huge motions like this, because that takes your guard away. Just like your other two, we're going to do 5 for form, and then 10 full power, either stepping or jumping. If you aren't comfortable, do them slow, okay? If you can do the last 2 with the jump, but you can't do any of the rest of them, that's fine. But do your best. If you're an adult, or you're comfortable doing these, get up to 30 or 40 with each leg, okay? So start the front kick on both sides. It's important to be ambidextrous when you fight, because if somebody comes up to you and they're they're a lefty, they fight southpaw, right? You have to be able to adapt to that. And if you're not comfortable throwing techniques with the other side, you're always just going to switch back. And if you always switch back, then you might be put at a disadvantage that the other person is hoping that you have. You want to train at the disadvantage so you can fight at the advantage. Remember that. It's very important. All right, so with that, that is the conclusion of our heavy bag drills. We got one more thing we're going to talk about, and that is our karate notebooks. I want to just show you guys some stuff in mine, and then we'll do the announcements. You guys will be all set. All right? So the last thing I want to talk about today is our karate notebooks. Now, since you guys were a white belt or a yellow belt, I've been telling you guys you need to have a karate notebook. And there's a reason for that. Even when we're doing these classes here, where you have the ability to go back and replay the video or go back and re-look up the material, it's very important that you're still keeping a karate notebook. And there's a reason for that. Now, I've been doing karate for about 20 years, and the vast majority of my training materials is in these two books. All right, I have the two binders. I've got my regular karate notebooks, and then I have additionally, I have a significant number of stuff on my thumb drive that I can pull up. But what I like to do, especially when I was training, was I'd keep my karate notebook here. And so in my karate notebook, I had all kinds of stuff from Japanese words and pronunciations, katas written out, all right? The same things that I'm telling you guys to work on. And what's interesting is it never hurts to go back and do something again. Like for instance, Seiunchin kata. This was originally written probably when I was an orange belt. All right, this one's kind of old. Okay. What I found was, as I have progressed both as a karate student and as a karate instructor, is the words that I use to describe the techniques that I'm doing have changed significantly. All right. When I wrote down Seisan as an orange belt, or whatever belt I was, I'm thinking it was about orange. I have very broad statements. Circle step left to Seisan, reverse punch. But it doesn't say reverse punch how. It doesn't give me targets. It doesn't give me stuff like that. If I look later in my book, where I pull it up again, you'll see, like for instance, for Naihanchi, I've clearly gone back to this the second time. There's more than one color pen in here where I have changed, added, stuff like that. What I realized over time was, especially in a notebook, like a composition notebook, although it's great to write stuff down, to write just jot notes about what senseis are saying, you know, little notes and stuff about specific katas that I'm doing. What it doesn't allow for is being able to go back and adjust your katas and stuff, which is why I adopted a binder system. So unfortunately, I don't want a 14-inch binder because I could probably fill one of these. But these are 2-inch binders, and I have a couple of them. But what I also did was I got dividers. So you think when you're at school that it's kind of useless to have, you know, that skill, but I'll tell you what, I've used it a ton of times. So I have all kinds of stuff. This one is my outside of karate training one. So I have stuff from Black Belt Club classes that my teacher, Sensei Ron Kaiser, used to teach all the time. So I have different seminars and materials and stuff, notes about what classes he was teaching. Sometimes I look at these, especially these, the weekly classes and stuff like this, I look back and use for like examples of stuff that I want to teach. And these go back for a while. I've got things in here from books. So books that were not necessarily in their entirety, but parts that Sensei Kaiser or whoever was teaching the class that had the book thought was particularly important. So he would bring a book to class. He would make scans of a couple pages and we would work on whatever was on those couple pages. Now, I happen to go to some of those classes enough times that I probably have the majority of the book photocopied in one way or another. Okay, but the important part of that was the classes, you know, would focus on, for this one. This one obviously is talking about medical implications. There's pictures of things like the liver and the stomach and lungs and kidneys and stuff like that, and what happens. And there's a lot of text here about striking targets and what medically happens when you know, things are struck, damaged, and so on. You know, stuff that's very useful. There are, and I have a number of those books. That's what the majority of this notebook is. It's just those books. Styles that I haven't necessarily studied, but I got some important things from. These are all typed notes or pictures. I've got, trying to maintain my binder here. If I go back further, I've got stuff with specific weapons that Sensei Kaiser typed up, or whoever the instructor was at the time. Sensei Ron Kaiser very much believed in providing materials for classes, which I loved. So he would type up all kinds of stuff. He would design all these little crazy graphics and such. Clearly an artist, if you know him, he was. That would go through and just kind of show you how some of this stuff was supposed to work in basics. So that one was knife self-defense. We have the same thing for tonfa, bow, nunchuck, kali sticks, grappling. And a lot of this, actually a lot of these later ones were things that I created from when I studied judo. So if you don't know, I have a green belt in judo. I took that when I went to Brockport College. The guy who taught me, his name was Don Johnson. Great guy, knew a ton of stuff. And I loved that class. And I loved taking the judo that I got, taking the tidbits of how to move your weight and how to adjust everything, and then bringing that back to karate. So what I did was I took all the information that I could and I brought it back to karate. So if I had stuff from Don, from the actual, it was actually a college course credit that I took. So there were materials provided in that. So I made sure that I took those and such. And I put them all in this notebook. So this particular notebook binder is organized such that it's individual styles and individual things outside of karate. This one over here is a little bit different. This one is more of my inside karate. So these are all karate things. So in this one, I have a lot of copies of ring etiquette, mini kata, different versions of mini kata that I've learned over the years. The one that we learn is just upper body basics and lower body basics stacked together. Parts of Isshin Ryu encyclopedias and books. The official 21 count that Kaicho provided back in, I want to say like 2005 or 6. These are how Sensei Ron Kaiser used to write up the katas, which I always found interesting when I go back and I look at these, because if you can see, it's very, very verbose. There's a lot of words to describe what's going on. So that if this was the only thing you had, there was no question in your head where your targets are, how you're doing your punches, such and like that. So this is just for Seisan, and you can see that for the whole, just to the first break, is this whole page. So there's a ton of information there, and he has like the directions, shortcuts, and stuff like that. So I have one of those for pretty much every kata. Naihanchi, Seiunchin. Some of these are my own personal drawings, some of them are not. If I've got the katas written out, if I've written katas out, this is how I write them out typically now. Again, this is Wansu. This was written up in 2010. I don't know if I wrote this or not, but this is the style. This is the format that I use now when I'm writing my stuff. If we go, so a lot of our katas, I've talked about this before, a lot of our katas aren't specifically taught just by Isshin Ryu. Like Shinto. Shinto has a Shotokan karate version. So this is the Shotokan karate's version of Shinto kata, which I found interesting, obviously, and why I included it in here. So pretty much if I'm getting information somewhere about karate, I'm throwing it in here. So I have a lot of this stuff in here. And then the next thing I've got in here is seminars. These are seminars from Kaicho. So these are handwritten notes that I took, and then I went back and typed. So one of the cool things working at a karate school, back when I did, was everybody who was an employee there would take these seminars, especially when Kaicho was the one giving them. We would all take notes, and we would all give our notes to Sensei Kaiser or somebody else, and then they would type all of them together. So if there was something that you were trying to write down and you didn't quite get to, they would all get put together and sorted out. These are my personal notes, so if I didn't have if I didn't have like old notebooks that fell apart, I took photocopies of so that I could stick them in these books. I have lots of this stuff. The next thing I have in here are seminars that I've done. These are seminars that I've taught back to 2006. So 2006, September 2006 was just after I got my black belt. So classes that I've taught, just focus drills and such that I've done, and I can look back at these anytime I want. If I'm drawing a blank on something cool that I can teach, this is some of the stuff that I can look at. Some of this is learning how to teach. This is a series of flyers that I've done. I'm glad I kept these, because a lot of these, when I'm making a flyer, I go back and I look at these. Okay, how did Eric Cotta do it? How have I done it in the past? I'm looking at this one and going, man, why would I make everything green? This is insane. I can't read this at all. So obviously not everything works, but it's good to have your mistakes as well as, your triumphs cataloged so you can go back and reference them. Seminars that I've run, seminars I haven't run, different things. OIKKA Youth Competition League from 2009. So, some of this stuff's old. Tournament flyers and such from, stuff that I've gone to. Kintora tournament. This was a judo tournament that I went to back in, obviously, 2008. So, some of this is pretty cool. Then it goes into demo team stuff. So, if you were on the demo team, hopefully you got some of these things too. These are old routines, different things that we had for that. Tons of teaching aids that I've gotten over the years, just how to teach better. The old card system, so if you were around for that, these are what they looked like and how to read them and how to deal with them. Expectations. These were Sensei Kaiser's expectations back in 2009. So having that stuff gives me the ability, especially now as an instructor and as a school owner, to go back and say, okay, these are the things that I have. These are the things that I need. Does it still make sense to have it this way? For me to be able to say that I teach traditional Okinawan karate, to be able to say that I am continuing traditions, well, there has to be a tradition for me to follow in order for me to do that. So this is how I remember, because, I can't remember everything. This is how I remember exactly what it is. I never had a junior black belt. I went through a brown belt. So having junior black belt expectations written down helps me think about, okay, what do my junior black belts need? Okay. Different things that people, these are old survey results from Eric Cotta. I have some survey results. One of the things that I have on my on my thumb drive is all my survey results from times that I've done surveys, things we can work on. So I have, a bunch of these from where we did them at Arikata, of just different things that are important to other people. I have a ton of Isshin Ryu self-defense applications, whether they're pictures or handwritten notes. I have sparring stuff, all the terminology for tournaments, tournament rules, as they've changed over the years, because they have, and they will continue to change, right? More handwritten notes. History and philosophy stuff. This is where a lot of the modesty, courtesy, integrity, self-control, perseverance, and dominant spirit. That's where a lot of this stuff comes from. I wholeheartedly believe in it, but in order for me to put into words to teach you guys a lot of what I need, these are the documents that I go back and I look at. Different things, how to teach, history of Isshin Ryu, meditation things. These are some of these are just philosophy things. Philosophy of like 21-foot rule for defending yourself against a knife and how close that things can happen, metabolism and stuff like that. So I've got all kinds of just philosophy things in here. And then at the end, these are my Arikata martial arts manuals. So I made manuals for you guys. Your training manual and your welcome manual, and I will be honest, I based them heavily off of the stuff that was in here. Some of the illustrations are exactly the same, because to tie your belt and stuff, why reinvent the wheel? Some of this stuff is absolutely perfect, and these are all things that I was provided when I first started training. So these, just tons of just different manuals, stuff like that. That's what I keep in this one. In my digital one is all my most recent stuff. And that's all the stuff that I have for Shiage Do Martial Arts newsletters and stuff that I create to give to you guys. And that's also where I put all of the videos that I take of me doing kata, so that I can see over time how my katas have progressed. Okay, so I have videos of me at tournaments. I have videos of me at just doing training, doing specific drills, and I use those so that I can make myself better. So when you guys are thinking about it, when you're a white belt, yellow belt, or whatever, this seems really daunting. That's a lot of work to put that together. But as you go, if you're always keeping stuff and you always keep it in the same spot, it actually gets easier and easier to put it in places where it belongs. I like keeping my thumb drive with those notebooks. I like keeping those notebooks handy. I honestly usually keep them on the shelf over here so that I can reference them easily. Another thing that I have is a notebook that when I'm reading a karate book, or like a manual or whatever, I take notes, but I don't like writing in books. It's hard-coded. You can write in books if you want. I can't stand doing that. So I have a notebook that I keep with it where I write all of the notes that I would think. I write the page number that I'm talking about, the paragraph number, and then whatever note it is that I'm thinking of while I'm doing this. Even when I was in high school and they said, "Oh, you got to write in a book," I would buy a separate copy of the book just so I could write in it, because I find that distracting when I try to read something, and I reread a ton of stuff. So I hate writing in books for that reason. So that's how I organize my notebook. If you have any questions on that, if you want tips, or if you want to take a look at them or something like that, let me know. I'd be happy to let somebody borrow that for a little bit. Obviously, I want them back. They're very important to me. I can't replace most of the stuff that's in there, but if somebody wants to look at that, by all means. They're great tools for figuring out your own organization. There's tons and tons of information in those things. And honestly, if all of my digital stuff was in there, I'd probably have another 6. So just keep that in mind. There's just tons and tons of information. And the more you write down, the more you can go back and think about afterwards. All right? Karate is a journey. If you don't document it, though, you're not going to remember how you started. So with that brings us to the end of class today. All right, I hope that gives you guys a couple of things to think about, a couple of things to work on. Make sure you're practicing your katas. If Seiunchin, Naihanchi, and Wansu aren't your most current katas, make sure you're practicing that too. don't forget to do a t-shirt contest is this Friday, okay? You're running out of time. Friday by midnight is when I need the designs. They can either be scanned and sent to me, emailed, put in the Dropbox, sent as a text message, however you want to get them to me. I need to have a copy of it in my hands by midnight on April 3rd. Okay, so that way I can get them out. Videos, don't forget to keep sending in those videos. My goal is to have you guys upload at least one video at least once a week. Okay, so whatever it is that you're working on, whether it's a class thing or your current kata that you want me to look at, or some terminology that you want to show off that you know, take a video of it, put it in the Dropbox, send it to me however you can, just so that I can see it, okay? It helps me to help you guys to learn better, and it also helps me to, stay engaged in what it is that you guys are doing. The last thing, through the whole month of April, we're going to be doing a Focus Mint giveaway. So during each week, I'm going to do a challenge. I'm going to issue the challenge. You guys will do the challenge, take a video of it, get the video of it to me, or if it's a written thing, you got to write it. If it's a whatever, the first 2 entries that I have that are valid, so they do what I ask, will get a Focus Mint, and I will drop those off. And the reason we're doing it that way is so that, if you guys are putting the effort and you're training hard and whatever you need, that I get to give back to you guys a little bit. So it gives an opportunity for me to give you guys a little reward for trying hard and working hard, and it gives you guys a chance to improve your training at home. All right, so we're going to do 2 of those a week. 1 challenge, 2 entries each week for the whole month. If you win it once, you won't get it. You're welcome to do the challenges. I encourage you to do the challenges, but you're only getting 1 Focus Mint. Sorry. I don't have a ton of them, but I do have enough to do this. And I'd like to get as many people as possible an opportunity to earn something like that. All right. So with that, that's all I got. Thanks for tuning in. You guys are great. You guys are dismissed. Us.